Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dee Dee. We are the hilarious outcome of opposing brains sharing a mutual desire to share knowledge and positive thinking about hemp and cannabis.
We are here to tear down the walls built by Big Pharma and other big companies that seek to keep the human race in fear and divided.
We are here to shatter the myths about hemp and cannabis and change the stigma of this amazing plant. Welcome to Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
And Emperor.
Podcast. Join us as we venture into this misunderstood and the unknown. Hey y'all, thanks for joining us today. This is our first official podcast, and I am super stoked to be here with Matt and be in this line of work that we do to begin with. So thanks for joining us. We're pretty excited.
Yes. I'm super stoked to be here with you, Dee Dee.
I know you are, Matt.
And like every day.
Yeah, you are lucky and blessed. I totally give that to you as well. So, topics for today. We decided to kind of share with you all what got us in this industry. I mean, it's it's like the wild, wild west out there. And when people talk about hemp and they talk about cannabis in general, you've got so many different people that are in this new industry. And I think most people, when they look at me, they would have never guessed in a billion years that I am in this industry now. I kind of grew up in a small town, Lebanon, Ohio. I graduated from school there, went to college, Mount St. Joe in Cincinnati, and I have a paralegal degree. So I did all the work for the attorneys on the back end. And, we kind of stayed away from this kind of stuff, at least after college. It was kind of interesting how all that happened. What made you, other than meeting me, what made you want to get into this business?
Besides you?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I had a career in construction and really big business construction, and was my third go around with largish companies, $1 million companies, and rising through the ranks, you quickly realize what corporate America is all about, and
yes, you do.
what actually that means to people, including the U.S. citizens and world citizens, and the overall health of our earth and our country and our communities. And it once I started that line of critical thinking, it really became present to me that I had to make some changes.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's when I started using the 502 hemp products. That certainly expanded my mind, and I was no stranger to hemp or cannabis prior to that, obviously. I mean, look at me. Duh. And kind of went from there. But you know what I'm thinking about right now is, so this is our first podcast.
Right.
So what's going to happen is people are going to listen to like our fourth or fifth podcast, because that's when you listen to a podcast, is like when a podcast catches on and you listen to it and you're like, oh, that's great. And then you go back and you have to like catch up and you listen to the first one and you're like, oh, yeah, I see where they, got steam. So all you listeners out there, if this kind of sucks, it's because it's our first episode, and you can listen to this and be like, oh, dude, man, look at how they evolved. And they became so intricate in their words and their speech and the factoids and everything. It's amazing. So anyway, first episode, guys, putting that out there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, Dee Dee.
Well,
continue.
for sure.
And this is kind of the dialogue that we have, by the way, every day. Our brains are totally different.
Yes. Yes, they are.
And it's amazing that we work so well together because we come up with some of the most unique stuff, and it always works out, and it's always positive, which is why we came to do what we're doing here.
Yeah. You need to speak closer to the mic so they
I'm sorry. Is that better?
That is way better. Good job, Matt.
All right.
See, it takes a village, people. I'm also
going to put on my sexy voice.
Please don't. Please don't. So anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. So let's. Okay. This is how it is, folks. So anyway, I It's crazy how I really got into this business back in 2010. I met my husband in 2009. We really got into each other, I guess, in 2010, you can say. But it was funny. He didn't know how to tell me, and God love him. He finally admitted. He said, he goes, I got to tell you something. I'm like, okay. He said, I have seizures. And he said, and I've been kind of waiting to tell you because I was afraid you wouldn't even date me. And I thought, well, what kind of person am I if I'm not going to date somebody who has, something like that going on? Well, then I saw the first one he ever had. And let me tell you, freaking horrific. I never want to experience that again. But I have, obviously, since we're still together. But, the big pharma had him up. They had him on 28 pills a day, and he was still having seizures. And I finally kind of looked at him. I said, dude, you need to smoke some weed. I think that might help you a little bit.
Smoking weed is illegal?
It is in this state for sure.
Yeah, just putting that out there.
Yeah, we're in Kentucky, by the way, if we haven't mentioned that. So
we do not advocate breaking the law.
We do not. We absolutely do
Ever.
Not. So anyway.
I don't even speed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dee Dee. Continue.
I'm continuing. So we, he went out west, learned about CBD oil. We actually started making it at home. Before, the big 2014 first hemp and farm bill happened here in the state. And he got a license, started manufacturing it legally. Took some time to grow. Then 2016 happened, and I started having god-awful panic attacks. And keep in mind, I was working for attorneys, so if you've ever worked for attorneys, you might know what I'm talking about.
You don't need to work for attorneys. You just need to have had to work with an attorney to know what that's like.
You need something to get through.
Sorry for any listening attorneys out there. You guys are clearly awesome and not who I'm talking about.
They are awesome when you need them. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But anyway.
Like you need the devil. I mean,
it's
a necessary thing, right?
It's not. Sometimes.
Agree to disagree.
We're totally agreeing to disagree on that one. But I started having panic attacks and anxiety, and I called John, and he's like, take some CBD oil. Take some CBD oil. Just fucking try it. So I'm like, okay, I'll try it. I will try some CBD oil. And let me tell you what, he brought home the nastiest flavored stuff I've ever had in my life. And if anybody has ever tried CBD oil, they know. Some of it tastes good. Some of it's pretty gross. Well, his first run around it was pretty damn disgusting. But you know what? I started taking it. It started helping me. And I was like, you know what? Why does this help me? And why does it help you? How does this work? Yeah. So I had to start doing some research. I had to start doing my homework. I had to figure it out. Yeah. Me being that paralegal, attention to detail, that's freaking important. Yeah. And knowing the reason why behind all of it. And I had to know. Yeah. So that's how it happened.
And to you listeners out there, we will be diving into the endocannabinoid system and how all that works in future episodes. So stay tuned on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to, that's a lot of information. Yeah. This is more just a little background. And then I started selling it. I was probably one of the first that set up at fairs and festivals around town. Nobody knew what the hell CBD was. Yeah. And I had to teach them and explain it all and, do that fun stuff. And then 2018 happened. I decided to open up the store, the 502 Hemp store, opened that in October of 2018. And then a couple months later was the big 2018 Farm Bill that got signed and passed. And then next thing you know, CBD and hemp has exploded. And there's so much out there.
Yeah, it's just banned on, Google and Facebook and pretty much every other mass media outlet that seeks to make money off of petroleum and medication. But continue. I'm sorry. Keep going.
That's another separate podcast too.
But we're touching on so much. But discussing so little.
Isn't that how it goes?
I guess.
Especially with us. So, yeah. Yeah. And then we met.
People are going to listen to this and be like, what?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's okay. But as long as you're entertained, mission accomplished, and educated, And you walk away with some kind of smile on your face, even if it's crooked. I'm good with it.
He does bring a lot of fun to the office, I must say, y'all.
So John, you and John started.
Yep.
And you opened the store.
I did.
Yep. And it was
my store,
your store, and it was an awesome success. And then I came in and met you and insisted
to be a part of it.
To be a part of it, and convinced you. And
oh God, you guys!
He would
wallow at my feet trying to get on board with me because he just wanted to be with me all the time.
And you know what? It was amazing. And then after that, it became a store that also made money. I don't know how, but there you go. And that's therein lies.
But the funny thing about that is, Matt, I didn't get in this business for that reason.
Yes. But here's how that works: is when you make money, you help more people.
That is true.
And then you can do more. It's again, we're back to the necessary evil.
It is a necessary evil.
And it's not the money that's evil; it's the desire of money that's evil. So
the whole reason I decided to get in this business was to help others.
Yes.
With a natural alternative, with a plant that has had that stigma on it forever. Yeah. And it's just bullshit that they took it out of our diets. They took it out of our livelihoods. I mean, they just made it, that propaganda from the government and all that shit. It just should have never happened.
Yeah. Well, and it falls in the lines of a lot of what we're going to be talking about.
Sure.
Corporate influence, why we are told what we're told, why critical thinking is so frowned down upon in our culture and our society today. People don't want you to think for yourself anymore.
No, they don't.
They want to direct how you think, make you believe that you're thinking independently, and making you think that you're thinking liberally when actually you're just being guided down a path that they've carved for you, and convince you to continue to buy their shit and continue to live life the way they want you to live your life instead of really expanding beyond that.
I agree with that for sure.
So, and we'll get into that when we talk about psychonauts and people who explore transcendental thinking.
Get so deep, you guys. And sometimes the stuff he talks about, I just kind of half listen because it goes in one ear, not the other.
Abandoning egoic constructs and accepting the authentic self. We're going to get all into that, guys. Elbow deep, ladies.
For a construction guy, like, he must be the most well-rounded construction person I've ever met, which kind of cracks me up sometimes too, y'all.
Yes.
Some of his stories, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. A little back behind that stuff. So let me ask you this though. You're in the business now. You've been with me since what, 2020? We started working together on the website, and then in 21, and then in
the beginning of 2020,
beginning of 2020, and then we full partnered up in 21, and with all the crazy shit that's happened with the pandemic and all that good stuff, we've still managed, and I am forever grateful for.
Yeah,
and we've still managed to continue to grow and continue to help more people and new products out. I mean, some of the stuff that we get to do, it is freaking awesome. It is awesome. I mean, some of the people we've met through this industry and I mean, even the people that we've helped, and just hearing some of their stories has been fucking phenomenal.
Well,
and yes, I cuss like a sailor. I'm just going to say it, and it's just another word to me. So I apologize if I offend anybody.
I'm not going to apologize for offending anybody because we're going to be candid here. We're going to speak what we believe, and you're welcome to share a different opinion. We certainly don't abandon or discredit any opinions in our culture, and but that we don't abandon it or discredit it. We say, we allow it and say you're totally wrong, and then go back and forth until eventually some level of consensus is arise. But that consensus is usually more fruitful than just a one-sided opinion.
Very true.
Totally,
yeah.
Well, and I started using CBD. Thank you for asking, Dee Dee. Because I had I have a stress disorder, and I struggle with it. I continue to struggle with it. I choose not to medicate for that. I choose to work internally for that. And CBD has really been the perfect vehicle for me to put me in the right headspace to do that work on self, which is another thing that Big Pharma wants you to abandon. They don't want you to work on yourself. They just want you to take a pill forever that will slowly destroy you, both economically and physically, which I will never subscribe to. But at any rate,
I do like vitamins.
Yeah, and CBD, by the way, does not help with verbalized pauses. So you'll hear me go more than I care to, but it just happens. So I'll work on that as this podcast continues. Anyway, so yes, it's been an excellent vehicle for me. I also have a head trauma. I have a bullet in my brain, which is a story we might get into in an episode here. We'll see. And it's been great help with the effects of that brain damage as well. So can't you tell? I could pass the elevator test, right?
You can totally.
You would
pass
never
an
guess.
elevator. I never
unless
guess.
I take the hat off. And
Dude,
you see
you can't really see it.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Okay.
No, you're good. You're good there. I mean, CBD changed my life. I can't even begin to imagine. I can't even begin to explain what a difference it made for me. Both taking the reins of my own destiny, I guess you can say, and choose a different path that I would have never guessed I would have been down. I mean, when I told my family that I was getting in the hemp business and that the husband and I were doing it, my nephew Joey, he cracks me up. He goes, "Oh my God, dude, you're a drug dealer." I'm like, no. And they all laughed, but that's just what they assumed. They assumed I was going to be a drug dealer. Me, Aunt Dee Dee, the good one, right? The one that went to college and all that good stuff.
Well, that's what Microsoft assumes. So you may as well.
I mean, so do banks.
That's what Google is,
right? So do banks.
Aunt
Dee Dee, the drug dealer. And, I'm like, no, let me back that up for you, child, and explain
that's what most credit
to
processors assume.
Yes, it is.
Anyway.
Yes, it is. Even though it's a federally legal product, passed in 2018, we still face the same bullshit that it's a drug.
Yes. But here's the thing, in all seriousness, you're not going to change people by complaining about it. No. You're not going to change people by, pointing the finger and shaking it at the people that aren't participating. Dee Dee and I have realized that the only way we're really going to change this, and the only way we've seen change and affected change in our business, is to educate people and spread a positive message, which is why we're here. We're not here to poo-poo companies and other businesses, even though it's fun and hilarious, and we will. Yes, we will. But at the end, it's really a positive message because we want to change, hopefully, the way you think, the way you might be able to help others think, and so on and so forth. And that's how this message really gets spread, because we don't want to just subscribe to the medias that are corrupt anyway.
Exactly, and I also think that people in their mind, they have a picture of what someone who does use hemp or even cannabis in general, what they look like, the hippie, that kind of persona. And when they meet me, they're like, "Oh, wow, you're kind of normal."
Yeah. You
know what I mean? Like, I'm not a hippie dippy. I'm not a flower child. I'm just pretty damn average.
Well, and I think that, that's important, because that stigma of the counterculture, and I understand that why the counterculture existed and its relevance, but there really is no counterculture. The counterculture to me is a relic. Yeah, it is of a day past.
I think so too.
And it's not prudent in today's culture.
No, not anymore.
The days of just smoking weed are over. I participate in
people do that. That's still a big
thing.
In
the full spectrum of cannabinoids, full spectrum that would include THC, but I do not smoke, and I would not smoke because it's bad for my health. Smoking's bad. Okay,
I know.
So,
he wrote a blog about that, y'all.
Yes, and if you read it, you'll be the first.
That's not true. I read it. So they'll be the second.
It'll be the second.
I had to read it because I had to proofread it.
Congratulations to you.
Messes a whole bunch of things up, and I have to fix things because that's what I do.
Yeah, my English degree did not come with a spelling minor.
No, it did not. It did not. But that's how we work well together.
Phonetics.
And the funny thing is, it's my name that wrote the blog, but technically Matt did.
Yeah, I'm the ghostwriter.
He is the ghostwriter for me. But then, like I said, I have to go in and fix it. But anyway, that's how we work well together. I think.
Grammar police.
Yes, I am.
You're here to serve and correct.
Judge your grammar all the time, especially on Facebook. Good gosh. Anyway, so I think that's how we work.
Which is
together.
another media outlet that has no relevance.
Not anymore.
That's a perfect example of shadow ban.
Yes.
And being directed to fake news.
Yes.
And ultimately a reality construct that is what they want you to perceive, not what you should as yourself internally perceive.
Yeah, I noticed whenever I post something about who they should or shouldn't vote for, nobody listens or sees that, and that's even on the personal page. So yeah, I get it.
Yes.
Are you kidding?
And Facebook does not allow any advertisement or even mention. Oh, unless you're a multi-million-dollar company, in which case it'll be up for 3 days and then it'll be shut down, and then they'll make a new account and put it back up again, and so on and so forth.
Yep.
Which we don't have time for, or the finances, and I wouldn't care to if I did.
I wouldn't either.
Because we're ultimately supporting a media outlet that's trying to shape your reality to something that, in my opinion, is just not healthy.
I agree with that. I think social media in general has done more damage than good.
Of course, that's not to be hypocritical. Do I have a Facebook account? Yes, of course I do. I am selective on what I post, and I am selective on what I show, and we're selective on what we put on our company page. But anyway.
Yeah, I try to put fun stuff up there.
Yeah, and we do, and then and if it's really fun, it gets flagged. And,
yes, it does.
Yeah, the best one is that Halloween one that I put together.
I know you did a great one. Was it Halloween?
I've had a few zingers.
Christmas?
I've had a few. Oh, the Christmas one.
Where
I took the
days
hemp.
Of Christmas.
Well, no, I took what I did was I took a hemp flower, a lovely hemp flower, and it was decorated.
Plant,
it was decorated with ornaments, and it had like some animal cartoon imagery. And that one actually made it like a week before they were like, "Hey, is that a flower?" And it's funny because if you call it a flower, it sounds ridiculous. You're flagged for posting a picture of a flower of a plant that grows in the earth. Anyway,
moving on from that, because gosh, we could
go all day.
We really could. Which one was posted and which one wasn't?
Yeah,
it's definitely been a journey, and I feel like, I learn new stuff every day. Even in the industry, new cannabinoids are constantly coming out, which we'll get into what the hell those are later too. But there's always new products coming on board. There's products that, people, oh no, that might actually provide some fun to somebody.
Yeah.
In general. But, this industry is ever changing. It's amazing to watch it grow and be a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we also have all the heartaches and hurdles going into it as well. But it's been something that I truly feel like I'm blessed to be a part of. Even though, as my husband's seizures brought us to this,
right?
We've managed to turn that downfall into this amazing company. And he's got his own thing. I got my own thing, but we together, but separate. Yeah. And I love that part to it. I love doing what I do, being able to help people find a natural alternative to some of the shit that they got going on in their lives.
Well, and you've really brought up a good point because, there's the medical aspect, and when we'll get into cannabinoids to the listeners out there thoroughly as we move along through this podcast. But there are so many cannabinoids that do so many things. We make products that are used by games athletes, CrossFit games athletes, Olympians have used our products. Hopefully we'll have some of these people on the
Veterans.
show. Yes.
People with cancer.
Yes.
I mean,
and then there's people who use it for sleep, and there's people who use some of these products recreationally, and you say that recreational, you know, in a quotation mark, but we've really abandoned the mental health aspect of recreation.
yes.
In today's culture, and I think that that's part of the problem, is poo-pooing the recreational aspect of it. Well, what's wrong with being able to use something to expand your mind, chill out a little bit, that's not harmful to your liver, that's not going to result in organ failure, brain damage, and actually enjoy yourself and wake up the next day and feel refreshed and maybe have a different perspective.
I see nothing wrong with it.
I don't quite understand why that's such a even in some aspects of the CBD and cannabis world. It's like, oh well, you know, if you're not using it for this specific medical purpose, then you're just abusing. Okay, well, I'd be interested to hear that, but I also think that there's some give and take there.
I mean, aren't we free to make our own choices?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Because if we truly were, there wouldn't be all these rules and regulations sometimes on some of this stuff.
Well, and I would answer that by saying that the choices we make are in a reaction to the reality that surrounds us and the people we're surrounded by. And if our reality is shaped by social media, by the news, by mass media, and then the reaction of the community around us, I don't know that we are free to shape our own reality and make our own decisions.
I don't know.
Unless we choose to engage in critical thought and thinking independently for ourselves. And that is something that, in my opinion, certain cannabinoids might be able to help you do. Well, I don't know.
You know, I tell you what, what changed my mind truly was the fact that our own government owns a patent on cannabis oil and what it helps with. And when we discovered that really put things into perspective for me. Because I was like, hold the fuck on. Our government has a patent on this shit and it's been outlawed forever? What?
Yeah.
What? And my husband's a veteran, so he was even more pissed off. He's like, they're going to shove all these pills down my throat and I can't take something that is natural?
Well, but, right. Yeah. I agree. But at the same time, you're blaming the government when it's, I don't know that
I don't know. Well, and I don't know truly that it was the government to blame. It was more of the big businesses that kind of kept everything.
Exactly.
I know.
Well, and again, it all circles back to the same thing. You need to think for yourself. Every individual out there, and that's going to be a key point of this podcast. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Dee Dee. Think for yourself.
Yeah,
Listen to what we say and question it. I'm not always right. I'm probably wrong more than I'm right. But it's that 7 to 2 average. Those 2 times that I am right, boy, it's a zinger. So yeah, and you have to have that critical thinking because we are in a reality right now where corporations supersede governments.
Yes,
7 richest people in the world have more wealth than any. No, individuals.
Yeah, I know.
Have more wealth than most governments.
Yeah.
So you know, if you think that these people aren't shaping the government policies,
I know
you're wrong.
I agree with that. We ain't getting into politics here.
No, I mean, there's listeners out there that don't even know the Fed is not is not the Fed. It's owned by private banks.
Yeah.
So much to get into, guys.
So much to get into,
and ladies.
So
I'm gonna have to get rid of that guys thing. I need to be more gender neutral.
Yeah, you probably do, but I call everybody hun and sweetie and guys. So
yeah, we're very accepting of all.
We are Gen Xers.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're
gonna go there, you say it like it's a bad thing.
No, it's a fucking awesome thing. I love being part of Gen X.
It's awesome, but you know what I don't like about Gen X is Gen X wants to blame the millennials.
I don't blame them.
I know, but so many people do. Oh, these millennials. Well, we raised the millennials.
We sure did.
We freaking paved their way, and then we want to kind of question them.
The crazy part about that is because the boomers raised us, so we didn't want to be raised by boomers, right?
Well, I think that the problem was that
or maybe they weren't boomers. I don't know.
I think that the Gen Xers allowed the millennials to be raised by the media, raised by the TV, and I think that we tasted that in Gen X. With like the OJ car chase, and I think of iconic media moments like that. And then that led to, because I lived, long story, but I lived in California at the time, and the next thing you know, come 5 o'clock news time, there were constantly car chases, to the point where they actually had to ban the filming of high-speed car chases on the California highways because people were doing it just to get on the news. So anyway, diving down a rabbit hole. But I think that was compounded as the internet grew and digital media grew, and these influences became more predominant in our everyday
And I've noticed
lives.
It seems a little worse now too, with even the younger generation, that they are being raised on the social media, on their tablets. It's all right there. Yeah. And it's totally different. Everything is different now.
Yeah.
So it is.
I mean, when's the last time you put your cell phone in a drawer for the day?
Jesus, it's killing me because it's sitting right over there and it's like not right in front of my face.
And you want to check it, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
right.
That's a strong pull.
It is.
And that is a lot of influence. Mm-hmm. And it's not an accident that
no,
these companies.
But at the same time, I think that's why our podcast is important when it comes to hemp and CBD and cannabis in general, because there's so much misinformation out there, and there are so many people that are, I don't want to call it snake oil, but some of it is snake oil. And then it gives the people that are in this industry that have the good product, it puts a bad light in other people's mouth, taste, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
So, and that really crawls under my skin, because that is bullshit. And I hate it when people say, well, I've tried this product and it didn't work. And then I'm like, well, did you check the source? And that kind of stuff too. So that all comes back, and it's all the big money marketing scheme. And that's just not cool in the hemp industry.
So what's the solution?
Well, that's why we're here, so we can educate and help people.
See, because here's another thing about this podcast. We don't want to present a whole lot of issues without presenting a positive solution.
Oh, for sure.
And there are solutions out there. There's a lot of the doomsday stuff, guys. I don't subscribe to that. I think that there's nothing beyond change. As long as we're human beings, and as long as we have the capacity for inward thinking and critical thinking, we can change this. We can make things better. We can make things better for ourselves. We can make things better for our community. We can make things better for our world, our children, so on and so forth.
I might get a little freaked out, and then I just take some more CBD oil. Then I'm good.
Well, I mean, it starts with yourself. Before you can straighten the crooked,
you have
to straighten oneself, right?
Absolutely.
I think that was the Buddha.
Sure.
That's not mine.
Yeah.
Just as long as I'm not.
So what do you think? You think this has been a first start podcast?
I think that it's been our normal banter, and out of rabbit holes and a lot of thinking. But I am very excited. I hope you are as well. We're gonna have a lot of fun on this.
Yeah.
We are. There's some super intense stuff that goes on with the subjects that we're going to cover, and there's some very comical things as well. So there's going to be a lot of roller coaster.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of life, isn't it? Life is roller coaster. So why wouldn't a podcast be?
A lot of opposing thought. Dee Dee and I are about as opposite of people as you can be.
Oh, yes and no. But see, even right now, I kind of disagree with that.
Well, right. But it's, this common goal that's brought us together that is so powerful, and so much good, I think, comes out of our dialogue. if we have the opportunity to share that with you, improve your life and make your day a little better, that's why we're here. That's what we're all about. So we hope to do that.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Hemp and Happiness with the Hemp Queen
and Emperor.
Keep your mind ever open and expanding. Like, subscribe, review, follow us, all the good stuff. And
keep it hempy out there.